This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, there he is. The dealer himself, spreading the hopium.
Why not?
Can I have some, Ira? Can I have
Why
some?
not?
All right. All right. No, that was good last night. That was a hell of a performance by Jimmy Butler. Hell of a performance. Strus came in clutch yesterday. You know who's been really nice over the last couple of regular season games and last night? Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent's actually been shooting well lately.
Yeah, I mean, he and Kevin Love were the key to that unbelievable 60% three-point shooting. And you know what? Put aside the injuries to Tyler and Giannis for a second. We'll get those in a moment. This series, if the Heat had any chance of spreading what I like to call optimism, it came down to the Heat were going to have to make all their threes and the Bucks were going to have to miss all their threes. Game one, mission accomplished. Now, if you can shoot 60% on threes and they're under 30% on threes, yeah, you have a chance. The ability to sustain that from the fourth worst three-point shooting team in the NBA, the Heat this season, that's what we have to wait and see. Again, if you could have predicted, except for Tyler, things that had to go for the Heat to win this series opener, Giannis hurt, Bucks missed their shot, Heats make their shot, Jimmy Butler in 2020 NBA Finals form, you got box check 1, 2, 3, 4. The odds of those boxes being checked again, Orlando, I mean, same as the odds coming into this series of the Bucks being a 92% favorite to win. All eyes on Giannis now. That does change this series because all of a sudden, you won't have the best roster still, but you could have the best player in the series if Giannis is out and Jimmy is playing like that.
Yeah, and listen, yesterday you got from Love the kind of game that you were kind of hoping to get more of when you traded for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yesterday was like he had not played like that since you acquired him. So he picked the right moment, and it was kind of a perfect storm thing. And that's where it kind of gets, a little bit crazy for all of us as Heat fans. Can you maintain this? And it's unrealistic to think that when that's not what you were for 82 games.
No, I mean, it's everything coming up to that point says this wouldn't happen, and then it happened, and God bless you. If this was the NCAA tournament and you were FAU, you win and move on. But here you have to do it 3 more times. I just had a friend text me from Chicago who covers the Bulls who goes, I didn't see that coming. I told him I didn't see it coming. Now they just need to do it 3 more times. I will say this, for those who like to express hope, if you get that Jimmy Butler, that son of a bitch, it's interesting. I would never put Jimmy.
You'll get him. I'm not concerned
about that level. But that level of greatness is hard to achieve consistently.
But it's realistic to think that he can do it. It's not realistic to think that Kevin Love will play like that again.
Or Gabe Vincent, other guys threes like that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I have way more faith in Jimmy, balls out every single night of his life, every time he's out there, than anybody else on that team. You know what I'm saying? By the way, did Oladipo ask Spo's wife out for a date or something? Like what happened to Oladipo? Like he's fallen like way out of favor here. You would figure after that Tyler Herro injury that Depot would be a guy that would be getting some opportunities, and he doesn't see the light of day.
I wrote this in my Ask Ira at the Sun Sentinel today, and I have another story talking about the options without Tyler. And this is my thought, Big O. Victor Oladipo's highs can be the highest of highs. He can really go off for you. But his lows can be unfathomable. What the Heat need from their complementary players beyond Bam and Jimmy is consistency. Victor Oladipo doesn't give that to you. I think because it was a thunderbolt yesterday when Tyler went out. There was no reaction time. It was like Duncan go in. And even then, Duncan just played 6 minutes and they worked around bigger minutes for others. I think Eric Spoelstra tries to go to Victor Oladipo in these 2 days off here in snowy Milwaukee and says, can you be what you were in last year's playoffs? A defensive whiz, but also control your offensive instincts and understand you have to be a complementary player. Duncan Robinson knows he's a complementary player. Max Strus and Caleb Martin know they're complementary players. Victor Oladipo still has this thing that he can be the man. And in the games late in the season when Jimmy was out or Kyle was out, he can be the man. But as a supporting player, I'm not sure he has that in him right now. So I think if Eric Spoelstra's thought is this, yeah, Vic might be able to step up and give me 20 points, or he might give me 8 turnovers. I can find the 20 points somewhere else. They got 130 yesterday, but I can't survive the 8 turnovers. He needs Vic to be consistent. I don't know if Vic can be that right now at this point in his career. I would suspect more Kyle Lowry, more Caleb Martin, and almost working around Victor Oladipo.
Well, Caleb at least was showing me some, but Kyle Lowry, I mean, okay.
He didn't do anything yesterday, but he had that 33-point game just a week ago. You know what? That's what it's going to take, Big O. If you want to sell hope in this series, is that every supporting player has to have their game. Just one. Kevin Love had his game, 1 victory. If Kyle Lowry has his game, maybe 1 win. If Max Strus can match what he did against the Bulls, 1 win. So what you want to do is, in each game, you're going to get Jimmy, you're going to get Bam. Who's the other guy who steps up? In game 1, it was Kevin Love. Who will it be in game 2?
Well, it wasn't Bam in that first half.
It's a whole game. It's 48. That was the perfect example of 48 minutes. I was sitting there writing a story, and Bam Adebayo is having a bad game, and Bam can't score. He was rebounding and passing. But God bless him, Big O, because at the moments of truth, when other players shrank, and sometimes Bam had, he was fantastic at the finish. We know the NBA. It's what happens in the end that matters most. They had the 14-point lead early, then the 17-point lead. But after it got to 3, the men stepped up and carried them to the finish. Because let's face it,
400-year-old man covering him, giving him 10 yards of cushion like quarterback.
Don't hear it. Your 400-year-old man has a chance to be the NBA Defensive Player of the Year because he is that savvy and smart with his defense. So no. Let's not reduce Brook Lopez to some cartoon character now. Milwaukee still had plenty out there with Drew Holiday.
He was giving him more space.
Sure.
There was so much airspace between him and Brook Lopez. If he had wings, he could have taken off. It would have been an entire runway for him.
You take what's given. You take that's smart. That's not simple. That's smart. Okay, the floater is there. The jumper is there. Or the great run out when Jimmy had that long pass to him. No, or even early when he drew the foul on Giannis early and gave Giannis his initial bump. Look, if it would have ended at halftime, I would have given Bam a D for the performance. He got back up into the Bs, and you know what? He stepped up when they needed him to step up. No complaint to the Bam Adebayo in that game.
Yeah, well, no, he's got to do better right from the get-go. He's lucky that no Giannis was there for the second half.
You're right. Of course. And they didn't have the goaltender. It's interesting, Big O. When the game started, Giannis started defending Gabe Vincent. So he was the free safety out there. He was the guy who would have been the second line of defense against Bam or Jimmy's post up. But 2 things changed. One, obviously, when Giannis goes out, that opens up. But Gabe kept them honest by hitting, I think it was 4 or 5 3-pointers. So that matters also.
He hit the nail in the coffin. He hit the nail in the coffin. His 3 sealed it, and then he added 1 more just to...
That play by Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy is falling down and tripping and about to go out of bounds, and Shovel passes the ball to Gabe, and you're going, what a god-awful position. Oh, 3, very good. It's just that that's that sort of no, yes kind of play they needed. You're going to need another 3 miracles against the Bucks to bring this home if you have any chance.
But I'll give Gabe credit. He's been on a roll over the last few games where he actually has been shooting really, really well. So give him a little love because he's been consistent. Now, if I tell you 55, 54, 66, and 67, what does that mean to you?
I assume shooting percentage is somewhere, so I'll let you go to there. You tell me.
No, that's a pretty good shooting percentage. No. Games played by Tyler Herro in 4 years, 55, 54, 66, and 67. And yesterday, out with a broken hand. That is one thing that has been an issue with his career. He is not reliable. He is not durable.
Well, stick figures aren't. When you have that kind of build, it plays into it. But I got to tell you, I had a former high school basketball coach text me this morning, and he said he thought it was a stupid play by Tyler, that you lose a ball, you have to realize in the moment that the aggression is great, but you have to make the smart play. We learned this with Dwayne Wade. You have to learn when to fall, when to sacrifice your body, but when to smarten up also. So I think Tyler has these basketball Jones instincts that he goes for it in every play. Maybe he has to dial that back. But you know what? With that kind of build, every year I do the same story. Tyler here was bulked up, and then the season happens, and then he winds up as a stick figure by the end. Yeah, when you have those kind of players with that kind of build, you leave yourself at risk for those kind of injuries. Again, when you mentioned the 60s there, I got to tell you, Big O, I know you don't like it, but if an NBA player gets to 65 games, to me, that these days, it's almost a full season. You're going to miss 15 to 17.
We had this same conversation with Jimmy last week, and the part you continue to miss is this team can't afford that. They're not good enough. They're not good enough to get 65 games out of Butler. They're good enough to get 75, 78 games out of Butler and 75, 78 games out of Tyler. Why? They're not deep enough. And why are they a 7 or 8 seed? Because people can't play complete seasons.
And that's decision-making also.
If those guys played 75 to 78 games instead, Miami may be a 4 or 5 seed instead of a 7 or 8 seed. So
or
really,
Pat Riley, Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon, and Nick Harrison gave them a better bench instead of signing Victor Oladipo for 2 years, instead of signing Dwayne Dedmon for $5.5 million, instead of some of these other guys, Haywood Highsmith at the end of the bench, and greater contributors. So I'm not so sure you blame the injured players as much as the whole thing. Again, we look at a team as a whole.
I can't give you max money. I can't give Tyler max money if you're not a max player, and I can't give Bam max money if you're not a max player.
They're actually near max. They're not fully max. They're not fully max. Tyler only has 4 years, didn't get the 5-year deal. It's a little different. But I got to tell you, Big O, when you are limited and over the cap because of the Lowry money and the Robinson money, you have to spend to keep your own because you can't buy outside. For example, Orlando Alzugaray. The Miami Heat, because they're going to be over the tax going into the offseason, will just have the taxpayer mid-level exception. One $7 million exception. So it's easy for you, Orlando Alzugaray, on a Monday morning here in the Acura Pembroke Pines report to tell me you can't pay max and bring him back. We can't do that again like Duncan. It's easy for you to tell me we can't bring Gabe Vincent back in big money. We can't do that again overpaying a player. But you have to bring back someone because you're in the salary cap hell, and there's one way out of it. If you agree that you're going to suck for 2 or 3 seasons and get it all back in order. I don't have a problem with that. It's much better than putting lipstick on a pig. And that's I don't know. I enjoyed lipstick on a pig yesterday. I enjoyed that pork belly when I was sitting here in Milwaukee. That was a lucky break that the superstar went out, and then that completely changed the face of the game. And without Giannis, obviously the Heat have a chance in this series for sure. It changes everything. Even without Tyler, they have, because with Tyler, you're missing. You're really missing his ball handling because you can get the scoring from somewhere else. No, let me interrupt you for a second. What you're missing is his shot creation. That's what Tyler gives you. This is a very uncreative roster. These are guys who spot up for threes, Jimmy who draws fouls, Bam who has a little mid-range game. There's not a lot of creativity. The NBA is a league of creativity. Whether it's Reeves going off for the Lakers or John Morant when he's healthy, players like that, you need creative scorers. The Miami Heat is not a large team, is not an athletic team. Tyler can get you buckets in the fourth quarter. He led the NBA in clutch scoring this season by total points because of the Heat's volume of those games. That's what they're missing. That at the end of a game, if they send the double at Jimmy Butler, matter of fact, I'll put that ball in your court now, Big O. They send the double at Jimmy Butler, and he's played off the court like LeBron and others can be. Who do you want with Tyler Herro being out, having the ball in his hands? Hello. Shooting or ball? Or creating a play. 9 seconds left. Jimmy has 2 guys on him. Bam. Okay. And Bam, it's the middle jumper. Creating a play. Okay. Not a key shot, creating a play where you give it to him and he's very good at facilitating. But that's where you're limited. I don't trust him offensively, but I do trust him to make the play. It comes to facilitating. He is very good at that. So
Very
that's
good.
what I'm saying is the Bucks have Chris Middleton to do that and Drew Holiday to do that. You need multiple creative scorers. The Heat will not have that now with Tyler Herro being out.
Yeah. The ball handling, there's no doubt that he is definitely going to be missed there in that area. The scoring you can replace. But see, that's my thing that I just want the Heat to get back to committing to, like, dogs all over the place. And that, with Bam, that's what I was really frustrated with in the first half. It's just, man, you got to know where you're at, and you got to be able, you got to be a son of a bitch.
Well,
And
I got to tell you, when it comes to the
there.
guards, the
It's just
Heat
not
thought
there.
the Heat thought they had that kind of dog in Kyle Lowry. They did. With the way he played in Toronto, that's what he is. He's a bulldog. Then he got old. He got old. The Heat thought they had that in Victor Oladipo potentially when they gave up Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley to the Rockets. He showed moments. He showed some in the playoffs. Then he got old and it disappeared with the knee injuries. That's a problem. The Heat now have a reserve core of players who used to be that, and they need them to be that now, and they're not. That's part of the trusting the old player is just like Ira Winderman and Orlando Alzugaray. Old guys get old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, they get old. Man, I went bowling this Saturday. I played 3 games. I could barely walk yesterday.
Yeah, been there.
Old,
Advil.
bro. Old. All right, so Tyler's out. You expect Giannis to make a comeback tomorrow?
They're practicing today, 3:30 Milwaukee time, a little later on the East Coast. We'll know a little bit more. They'll do everything they can. This reminds me so much of that series last year against the 76ers. This reminds me so much about the 76ers. Remember, Joel Embiid missed the first 2 games, and they tried to go with DeAndre Jordan, and it really set them back. You can't get set back 2 games. Then all of a sudden, it really evens out a little bit more. So, you know what? There's lots of good medications and treatments to get Giannis out there on the court. Will he be fully himself? Probably not. But I will say this. 75% of Giannis is better than 50% of the players in the NBA. So now we wait and see. The 2-day break is huge. Not only is it a 2-day break, but they played 4:30 local time, 5:30 Eastern on Sunday. They don't play till 9 o'clock on Wednesday. So by the hour, this is a nice extended break. He's going to need that.
Yeah. By the way, somebody explained to Charles Barkley and everybody else out there, the television companies don't give a shit about your complaints about what time on what side of the coast. They're worried about what they're going to maximize their audiences. So they're fine with maximizing the West Coast audience and hurting the East Coast audience, just like many times they're fine maximizing the East Coast audience when a game's too early and the people on the West Coast aren't even home yet to watch the game.
Like Monday Night Football, You're stuck in the middle time-wise. Today's the perfect example, Orlando. That Warriors-Kings game was one of the most exciting games I may have ever seen in the first round of the playoffs. And tonight you get it at 10:30. And tonight it becomes a late game again because of the scheduling. So you can't always have what you want. If you're into it, you'll watch it. If it means something to you, you tell your boss you're going to be in a little late in the morning, and you'll deal with it because some games are worth staying up for. If the Heat were down 0-1 to the Bucks, I'm not so sure I could tell you on them being worth staying up for on Wednesday. Now they are. A series could be in the balance Wednesday night.
What are you going to do? Play it at 4:30 or 5:30 on the West Coast? No, dude, you can't do that. I'm sorry. It's not fair to their team and their fans. So you got to play it at 7:30 their time, prime time for them, and it's 10:30 for us. It is what it is, man. It's just, I don't understand why people don't get that part of it.
Right.
And TV runs the show, not the NBA, not the NFL, not Major League Baseball. Once they pay the rights, then they say, okay, we need the game at this time. And that's it. And that's the way it goes. It's out of their hands. They got to do the TV companies are doing what's best for their advertisers.
And when you go from cable into more streaming like we're seeing, you might see a day, one day, honestly, when people are buying individual games on Prime or elsewhere, where maybe you vote for an NFL game on a Monday. What time do you want the game? Because we're selling directly to you, and then Sunday the game is played at that time. Screw the fans in the stands, screw the TV audience. The people who are paying the freight get to make the choice. It's going to be a different world soon enough.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, what are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Well, I ran down my list of all the possible options to replace Tyler, from starting Duncan again, going to Vic, maybe getting Caleb Martin in there for more defense, or maybe just telling Jimmy Butler to even do more. So I posted that already. I posted the Victor Oladipo question. Can he be trusted in those minutes? About to post a story on Giannis and where it stands, reminding people the Bucks played a game in March against the Heat. Giannis played only the first 6 minutes, and the Bucks got their biggest victory of the year. Give the Bucks time to game plan for not having Giannis. And you know what? They still have Drew Holiday. They still have Chris Middleton. They still have Brooke Lopez. They still have Mike Budenholzer, a very good coach. They'll find a way also. Enjoy Sunday. Expect something a lot different on Wednesday.
Yeah, Spo told me what he felt about Oladipo already, and we'll see. If he's playing him, it's almost out of desperation now, is what kind of feels like. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, we will see you on Wednesday for the Red Recover.
Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, here from snowy Milwaukee. We'll have it all for you, redrecover.com inside the paint. And I'll be back on an Acura Pembroke Pines report on Friday with the Big O. Thanks, Big O.
Thank you, Ira. Appreciate it. There you go. Acura Pembroke Pines, baby, 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 and Pines. Get on down there. Go see Larry Schlossberg and Pat Nasto and Tony Stampone and all the amazing people, man. Just a great sales staff out there. And by the way, if you own or lease an Acura, go see our service center out there. Jordan Ferber, Mike Chan, they run the show. Mike Chan is the man. All right. Mike Chan runs that entire service center and does an awesome job. Really comfortable area for you to relax. TVs, drinks, coffee. They've got a little cafeteria, all that kind of stuff there. They make it really convenient if you have to stay there for an oil change or something like that. So go check it out. 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 and Pines. That is your Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.